Uh-oh, it looks like we piqued your interest in the Hideout. First of all, let me tell you what the Hideout is not. The Hideout is not for hustlers, for grinders, or for people who are looking for a shortcut to what the world calls success. The Hideout is about growing as men, creating lifelong friendships, and having the time of our lives. Are you ready to tap in to the endless source that will take you from success to significance? The Hideout is 2.5 days of hiking, biking, and doing the little things that it takes to create lifelong friendships. I find that joy is nothing more than falling in love with your current circumstances and allowing magic to happen. And that's when we see growth in every area of your life. Have you accomplished your goals professionally and financially, and you still thirst for something more? Has success in these areas come at the expense of far more valuable things, like your family, your children, and your relationships? Alignment in business, strategic partnerships, and joint ventures all come from true relationships. The Hideout is designed to get to know people before you'll ever meet them. This is not your typical mastermind. The Hideout is focused on the one thing that will fuel everything: joy. And when joy is overflowing in your life, you'll find growth in your marriage, your relationships, and oh yeah, your business. Welcome to the Kelly Cardenas podcast, where attitude is everything. On today's show, I am so excited. Like, everyone in my family is excited. It was so incredible because I saw this man, and I know of his accomplishments. Everyone knows out there in the world, the huge football fans, that he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But the thing that impressed me the most is I've been watching him, I've been following him, and I see his emphasis on his family. I see his emphasis on him having a really good time and him becoming big bad Brad. I mean, this man is incredible. He's infectious. I got on the phone with him this morning. We started chatting, and it was almost like I knew him forever. And he's so welcoming. I reached out to him. He hit me back so fast, and it was so incredible because a lot of times people hide behind firewalls when they have the type of success that this man has. But he's open to his family. He's locked into his family, wanting to make a difference that way, which I think is phenomenal. So it is my honor, my pleasure, and I am so excited to have on the show Super Bowl champion, winning quarterback, and also he is one of the baddest men on the planet. That's what he wanted me to tell his wife because she needs to understand it. But please welcome to the show, Mr. Brad Johnson.
Awesome, Kelly. I appreciate you having me on your show, man. It's an honor. And, honestly, I try to do, anybody that reaches out to me, I try to do stories with them and podcasts and stuff. And then when you reached out, I just, man, it was just like, this is going to be awesome. So I appreciate it and look forward to telling stories and laughs and all the above. So thank you.
So Brad, let's start from the beginning, man. I mean, you're one of, what is there? Has there been, how many Super Bowls there been now? Is there 55?
I think in that range. Yeah. It's kind of nuts. Real quick. There's like 46 presidents. Mm-hmm. There's like 68 Masters. There's like 87 or 88 Heismans, but there's 35 guys that have won a Super Bowl. And 12 guys have won it multiple times. I was not one of the 12, but unfortunately, 35, 4 have passed away. So there's 31 that are still living. Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas, Ken Stabler, and then Lynn Dawson. He passed away the other day. But I pinched myself thinking about, I was able to be a part of a great team, great group of guys, coaches, and just to, reach that kind of goal and that kind of dream, make it happen.
So when you started off, when you're playing youth, right? Because especially youth today, when you're playing youth today, a lot of times the parents on the sideline, every person thinks that their kid is going to be one of the 32, you know what I mean, or 35. Right. And so they're yelling and screaming, and the kids are like, can I have fun? Can you talk to the parents out there? That have kids in youth sports? What should we be emphasizing? Because now you see it from a completely different side.
It's interesting, okay? So I was at a camp one time, and there's like 150 camp basketball kids in this gym. And so the coach, he didn't have a whistle coaching 150 kids in the gym because he wanted to have – because in a game, there's only – they can only listen to the coach. And he wants to be able to speak and talk, and the players can hear his voice through the crowd. And it was really interesting when our kids were little. My wife, my youngest son, Jake, was playing a basketball game. She was holding one of those iPads. And it was really interesting. She's like, shoot, run, dribble, block the shot, shoot it, get the ball. And what's funny is she heard herself. She heard her voice when she replayed the video. And it kind of annoyed her. Like, and then if you look around, everyone's yelling at their kids and the shooting is like, and it's really interesting. And I would tell you to, as a parent, you've already practiced, you have a coach, let the kid play. Let him play. Let him face the good, let him face the tough. Like, let him go through adversity. Let him turn the ball over. You know, if you strike out, hey, there's another inning coming. You know, there's another at bat. Talk to your kid after the game and ask them, what do they enjoy? What was the most fun part about the game? And then you can get into, like, you know, maybe bend your knees and you could have got that ground ball and those kind of things. But let the coach, let your kid, let the players play, and really just kind of enjoy it as parents. Get to know the parents, and let's all cheer for our kids and maybe come up with nicknames for the kids and those kind of things. But let the kids play and let them grow, let them deal with adversity over time.
So, Brad, a little known fact about you, too. I mean, obviously being an elite quarterback and playing at the highest level and winning at the highest level, you also are you have a basketball love. And so can you talk to us too? I wanted to know about a lot of times in youth sports now, a kid will get into soccer at 7 years old and then they only play soccer for their whole entire life. How important is it to be able to cross train, or is it even important for kids when they're grown up?
I think it's extremely important. Play as many sports as you can, especially early. When you start getting high school, like, the times run over. Like, the seasons kind of overlap too much. And it's really, sometimes you don't find many kids that can play 3 sports anymore, not alone 2, and hopefully you're playing 1, those kind of things. But at an early age, play them all. Find out what you're good at. Find out what you struggle at. Find out something that you love to do. And maybe you're not as good at it now, that you might become better at it in time. And I think situational stuff like basketball, it's man-to-man. We learn out-of-bounds plays from man-to-man. Zone plays. It's a 1-2. It's an odd front. We learn how to give an even front. It's an even front. We learn how to give an odd front. We learn timeouts, situations, how much time is on the clock. Like, be competitive in different sports, and they'll carry over. There's a huge carryover, and athletically, there's a huge carryover too from sport to sport. And I think and the other part is being a leadership. Like, sometimes you may be better at one sport, but then you struggle at another sport, and then you're kind of counting on teammates and those kind of things. And just, I think it's a huge carryover. I wish kids would play more sports, and I would encourage all, about fell you on my iPad there. But sorry about that. But play as many as you can, and go out in the backyard and play tag and play kickball and come up with imaginary games and just play. And it doesn't always have to be a trainer, it doesn't always have to be a guru, those kind of things, but just learn to play shirts and skins and those kind of things. And it'll be a huge benefit in time when it comes to choose maybe that one sport.
So let's take it back to young Brad, right? So you start playing youth football, things like that. I mean, you're going through. Can you take us through the progression? Because when you're elite in youth, right, everyone like immediately is like, oh, they're going to the NFL. But that's not always the case. And then you go from being elite in youth, and then you go into maybe high school. And high school, you're playing with all the elite from youth. And then you go to college, it's the exact same thing. Then you whittle it down to the pros. Can you take us through that progression? Because I think a lot of people don't understand what it takes to be able to do the kind of things that you were able to do.
It takes what it takes. It takes getting better. It takes making mistakes. It takes missing shots. It takes losing games. But through that kind of process, you learn how to make better shots, make better decisions, and then how to compete in different ways and find. And I always said, honestly, when I was in PE class and we choose teams, I would always choose like the worst player, because the worst player, they're always the last one chosen. And it's the worst feeling in the world sometimes. But for me, I would make an impact on that person. And then sometimes, because of my level of play, it actually make the teams even, make me compete even harder for that. And then And then sometimes that person might be, they might be really good in school. They could help me out in class, those kind of things too. But it's like, that's what you have to have. But as you go on, it's sports of life is very competitive. And you have to find ways to improve, find ways to get better, go play and compete against people that are better than you. I remember in high school, I was an All-American at my high school, Owen High School up in Black Mountain, North Carolina. And then when I went to Florida State, I was the 7th string quarterback. I went from one of the top guys in America to the 7th string quarterback. So when you stretch, the number one guy, he's at the 50, the second's at the 45, the third's at the 40, the 35. I'm back there at the 15-yard line, like stretching, like. But you learn how to compete. You learn how to work for what you want to earn.
So when you came into the league, you came in. You were in the 9th round. You were drafted 227. Okay.
Right.
So when you come through that, I mean, it's amazing because when I look at not all the time, but when you look at super high draft picks, right? Me and my brother were talking about this the other day.
Right.
You see them generally. They go to a really garbage team. They get beat to death, and then they're labeled as, oh, wow, they were a bust. Whereas when you come in the 9th round, there's not as much expectation. Is that an advantage for you? Was that an advantage when you came in the league?
I wish I'd have been drafted higher. I would have made more money. Okay. at early in my stage. But, some people, they're thrown into the fire too fast, and they have short careers. And they're not ready for those moments early. Peyton Manning, he was able to last. And I think he set the NFL record for the most interceptions, 28 in a rookie season. And luckily, they didn't kick him out of town. But when I look at some of the Super Bowl winners, Patrick Mahomes, he sat the first 15 games of the season. Favre, he sat in Atlanta when he was drafted. Aaron Rodgers, he sat for 3 years. Tom Brady, he sat. Steve Young, he sat. Joe Flacco, he sat. Kurt Warner, he sat. Eli Manning, they sat him for 6 weeks. So, I think what's really important as an organization, play the kid or play the quarterback when he's ready for that situation. Just don't throw him in to say we got the first pick of the draft and let's throw him in. I actually thought San Fran last year with Trey Lance, they did a great job. He wasn't ready. They let him groom under Jimmy Garoppolo. They gave him a year. Now it's his time to go grow and have the franchise, have the system behind, the knowledge behind you to go ready and play. So for me as a 9th round pick, I didn't get snaps my first 2 years of practice. I didn't get the scout team reps either. So on my off days, on Tuesdays, I'd have to go throw into a net or to an equipment manager and those kind of things. And so, but here's the deal too. My dad taught me, one of the greatest things my dad taught me was, he said, son, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Mm. So when your moment comes, be ready for your moment. And that's kind of the way I live.
Well, let's go into that NFL part. First of all, what do you wish that people knew about the NFL? Because you know it from a fraternity side. We know it from a fan side. And we're yelling at the TV, telling the coach he should do this. Oh, quarterback, if you would have just turned this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you wish that more people knew about the NFL?
Just the process that it takes. I mean, there's 32 teams. They used to keep 3 quarterbacks, so that was 96 quarterbacks. Now a lot of them are keeping 2, so that's 64 spots. There's not that many. There's only 1,500 players in the NFL. Those are the best of the best. Top Gun, the best of the best. And I think the amount of time and energy that goes into to a practice schedule. Usually the work days, I was always in there about 6:37. Would finish about 5 o'clock at night. Then at nighttime, would either watch more film or go through my play sheets and those kind of things. But it's a long week. It's a long preparation for, 3 or 4 preseason games, a 16 or 17 game schedule now, and then the playoffs. And so, those guys they're working. It is a job. It's fun to play. It's what you did as a little kid, but it is a lot goes into preparation for just a game. And now it's changed a little bit now with preparation, just the amount of time people spend in the off season with conditioning or eating, or nutrition, getting the right kind of rest and those kind of things, just to be the best of what it takes to play that long of a season, to be that great.
So take us behind the curtain too. The 2002 season, I mean, you guys were, I mean, your defense was a monster. My buddy out there who's probably listening, his name is Bear Trexler. He's been telling me about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for my entire life. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, and I have to make sure that you know that. But the way that I connect this, I call it NFL math. Brad, you were the first person to ever catch your own touchdown. But the only other person in history is a guy named Marcus Mariota from the Tennessee Titans. That was my connection point, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of those. Are you a Dave Chappelle fan?
Not really.
Okay.
I haven't really watched too much of it.
So there was a skit on there that was called Charlie Murphy's Hollywood Stories. I want to go to Big Bad Brad's 2002 NFL stories that the public generally doesn't get a chance to experience, but what you experienced in 2002, some of the things that, maybe made you laugh, made you cry, went through that. So, I would love to be able to hear about that season.
Yeah. To go back just a little bit in time to tell you how I got in Tampa was, I was actually in Washington playing for the Redskins at that time. And so there was a receiver named Keyshawn Johnson, and he wrote this book called Give Me the Damn Ball. And I'm like, I would never want to play with that guy. and then there was this coach, he actually used to coach at Oakland. And I remember him yelling at Rich Gannon and going off on him. And I told my wife, I'm like, it was on Monday Night Football. I was like, I would never want to play with that guy either. He's out of control. So I ended up with my two best friends here, Keyshawn Johnson and John Gruden in Tampa. We had a great relationship. But I remember the first time I met with Gruden in his office. He had a small little office, dark. He's always watching film. And so I get in his office, and we're kind of just meeting for the first time. He's like, Brad, we're going to win the Super Bowl this year. And he said, how's our defense, the great Tampa defense, how are they going to stop blast off the joker right, X short, 22, X drive, halfback burst? And how are they going to stop triple right, F right, 358, Nebraska X seam? We got John Lynch and Warren Sapp and Derrick Brooks. We're going to win a Super Bowl this year, but we're going to attack our defense. We're going to beat our defense every day. And he said, Brad, can you make plays with your feet? Can you make plays with your feet? And I'm sitting there, okay, we're going to win the Super Bowl. I can make plays with my feet. And I'll say anything I can at that time to keep my job. And so the very first minicamp we had in the spring, Gruden called me to the side. He said, Brad, this is time we stake our territory on this team, on our defense in practice of the great Warren Sapp and Derrick Brooks and John Lynch and all these Hall of Famers. And so he said, Brad, are you ready? I said, yeah, I'm ready. So he gives me the play, and I go into our huddle. And I'm looking at my linemen, which was Robin Oman, Kerry Jenkins, Jeff Christie, Cozy Coleman, Kenyatta Walker, Keyshawn Johnson, Keenan McCardell, Joe Jaravicious, Mike Allstott, Michael Pittman, Ken Dilger, Ricky Dilley. I mean, I had them all. I had their attention. I had their eyes. I said, boy, this is the time we stake our claim. I said, Grooves, what was that play again? And the play was called U shift to green left west, F short, spire 2, Y banana, Z over, heads up for 359 smoke. And I couldn't call the play in the huddle. And he about benched me right then. And so he got the play, repeated the play, and then we had a great did it again. But we had a great offseason with our offense versus defense. And then we went 3-1 every 4 games. And John was just patient with me, like as far as calling plays in the huddle, teaching me the system football. And what was really pretty cool, Kelly, we got to the night before the Super Bowl. He said, Brad, all year long, you told me back in February you can make plays with your feet. I haven't seen it all year long. I need a play out of your feet in this Super Bowl game. I'm nodding my head still again. And so the play came up. It's right coming in the third quarter. And the play was called triple right, F short, 72 crisscross, Y swing. And basically the play was 3rd and 9. And I dropped back and nobody was there. And so you remember when John Elway played in the Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers, and he ran and he dove for in the end zone and did the helicopter? Yeah. And that was called the John Elway moment. And so for me, all my life, people would call me slow, couldn't make plays with my feet and all those kind of things. And here I am in the Super Bowl, and I go, it's 3rd and 9, and I scramble, and I'm running out in open space. And here's the picture of what this play was. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
And that's me. I'm running out in space in the Super Bowl. The dream come true. And that was my moment. We got the first down. I proved John Gruden I can make plays with my feet. We go on and win the Super Bowl. But that was a moment I'd worked for all my life, jumping rope and running and sprinting for that one moment. So it's pretty cool looking back. But it was a great team, great group of guys, and loved it.
So, John, also too, like when John Gruden comes in, he came from the Raiders. Was there a lot of emphasis on, I mean, there's no way you can know that you're going to meet up with the team that he left, the year before. But when you're playing at the level that you're playing, is there still, because say when you're playing, youth, you've got this, hey, my buddy I'm about to beat my buddy. Is it like that in the NFL and playing at the level that you played at? Or are you saying like, we're going to go beat these guys for John?
I don't know if it was just for John. I think it's for all of us. I think to play in the Super Bowl, it's incredible. And what Gruden did coming to our team, he brought a bunch of free agents. He taught us system football. He inspired us. We had a great career. And on our team, we had no one that had ever won a Super Bowl. No coaches, no players. I don't think anybody had ever been to one. But when you look across the other side of the field, honestly, like I'm looking at Jerry Rice, who's won 3 Super Bowls, the all-time greatest, and Bill Romanowski and Rod Woodson and Charles Woodson, Hall of Famers, and all the above. But at that moment, you're just thinking, I always call it make the read, make the throw, make the play, and then move to the next one. And to realize that the moment's not too big, that we've worked hard to be in this moment, but we all need each other to accomplish what we want to accomplish. So I don't think it was more about let's win it for John or let's win it for so-and-so. It's a team thing. And at the end of the day, we all get to celebrate as winners. And fortunately for us, that day was us.
Let's talk about, too, some of the players on talk to us about some of the unsung heroes. Because I mean, it's amazing that you were able to name off every one of your linemen. You're
right.
Naming off everybody. Everyone knew about the Warren Sapps. They knew about the John Lynches. They knew about the Brad Johnsons. They knew about the Keyshawn Johnsons. Who was someone on the team during that time that you guys wouldn't have won a Super Bowl had that person not been there?
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 defensive guys. Let me just list them real quick, okay? I think there's Simeon Rice, but there's also Greg Spires, our other end. There was Dexter Jackson, who won the MVP. There was Brian Kelly, who played cornerback. And then a leader on that team was, on the defensive side that never gets talked about, was number 53, Shelton Quarles. And I remember my very first day I was there in Tampa, we were running sprints. And at the end, they were kind of standing right where I had to kind of get through the end of the line. And I kind of slowed up just so I didn't run into somebody. And I remember he grabbed me and said, Brad, down here, we run all the way through the line. Like, that's the first time I never did because I didn't want to run into people. But he took a stand. He was a great leader on that team. But offensively, we there's Mike Allstott and those kind of people, but the guy to me that was a ringleader for us, and the guy that I actually played with him in Minnesota was my center, Jeff Christie, number 62. He was my center. He made all the calls, all the line calls. Just an incredible player. Had a great career, and I'm thankful for Jeff Christie being our center. And our line never gets enough credit for what took place on that team. So thank you, Jeff Christie.
So during that 2002 season, right? So you guys do well in the regular season. You go into the playoffs. Can you talk to us about the person that you didn't want to play against? That opponent that is like, man, and then tell us about the person who you love to smash.
Yeah. Well, one of our nemesis, the toughest team we played against, I played against them a bunch when I was in Washington, and it was the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles in Tampa, they had beaten Tampa 2 or 3 times in the playoffs, had beaten us in the regular season. That year that we won the Super Bowl, October 20th, we went to Philadelphia, and they beat us like 20-10, but it felt like it was 55-0. And when I left the stadium, my ribs were cracked. Could never beat Philadelphia up there. And it was just, they were our nemesis. And we knew if we were going to go to the Super Bowl, it ran through Philadelphia. They went to 4 NFC championship games, and they actually went to 1 Super Bowl. But at the end of the year for us in the NFC championship, we had to go back up to Philadelphia in the Great Vet. It was the worst turf field you've ever seen in your life. It was cold. We could not win a game under like 40 degrees. They had a great defense, unbelievable defense. Jim Johnson was the coordinator. He's blitzing from everywhere. And so that day we had a play, and we were struggling in the first quarter. And there was a play in the second quarter. It was called triple right, 82 double smash X option. And we had a player for us named Joe Jaravicious. And his boy actually was in trauma, to be honest with you. And he actually passed away soon after. But we didn't know if he was going to play. And this particular play, I was getting ready to check out of the play. Triple right, 82 double smash X option. And I was getting ready to check to either toss or it's like a little 3-yard stick route. And I stuck with the rules of, making a line call and then just trusting the play. And this play, Joe Jurevicius caught it over the middle and he ran for 73 yards. And then we ended up scoring a touchdown. It gave us momentum, and then we ended up winning the game. And I think that play was the most critical play of that whole season of Buccaneer history as far as winning the Super Bowl. Because if we didn't get that momentum play, I don't know if we ever win, to be honest with you. And so thankful for Joe Jurevicius, thankful for sticking to the rules. But that was our nemesis, and that was one of the greatest wins ever for us. It was the last game in the vet.
So, Brad, as a quarterback, who's the one that is the toughest to play against? Is it the linebacker core? Is it a cornerback? And if so, who was that person during your career that you were like, oh damn, this guy is here again, or right. do people haunt you like that?
You learn to play against competition, so you want it. And okay. you don't back down from it. And obviously I played against Reggie White, Bruce Smith, and Ray Lewis, and Brian Urlacher, and Charles Woodson, and Rod Woodson. But there were two players I thought that were just different to me. One of those was Deion Sanders, prime time, as we like to call him. And he was prime time. He could shut it down. He would shut it down. And he was a phenomenal player. So you knew to kind of throw away from him. And the other one was actually Ed Reed to me, Hall of Famer, played for the Baltimore Ravens. And he could line up on one side of the field and then run to the other, and he could intercept it or create plays. Really, really smart guys, great playmakers. And usually as a whole, it's more of what the defense was presenting to you. But those were the two guys that just, I had to put my eye out. Where are they right now at all times?
What was the biggest mistake that you made during that 2002 season? Because I think that most of the time, we learn from your successes. You win the Super Bowl, you're the man, you made the NFL, all the stuff. One of 35 people in the world that ever do this thing. And that's great. But I find that I learn more from when a person is like, you know what, I chose this one, and this was probably the worst decision I've ever done. Can you talk to us about like a bad decision that you made during that season?
That was actually a pretty good season.
Okay.
but it was really interesting. In the playoff games, we played San Fran, we played Philadelphia, and then we played Oakland in the Super Bowl. And all of those games, in the first series of the game, I had an interception. I only threw 6 for the season. And to throw them in the first series of the game, and really as a quarterback, especially in the Super Bowl, you have an interception. I got hit on the ball gets fluttered up. And I always say the quarterback position is like running through a gauntlet. When you do good, everyone's patting you on the back. Good job, man. Great throw, man. You're the man. And then you throw that interception, whether it's your fault or not. It's like now they're all shooting bullets at you, man. You throw a pick, he's cost us the game. And you find out who your friends are real fast as a quarterback. But you have to have thick skin. You have to stick with the process. You can't panic. In big moments, you never know when the most important play of the game is, but you're going to have good plays, you're going to have bad plays. The key is just to negate the negative plays. But those 3 interceptions were very memorable in playoff games.
So how is it to be traded too? Because I think a lot of times for us as a fan, when we're watching, we're like, oh, my man got traded, or when he's going, we're just thinking like, okay, cool. Well, just go to that new city, put on the uniform. If it's my favorite team, I'm excited. But we don't think about the backside of it, the family. We don't think about the kids. We don't think about the uprooting. Sometimes you have to go and maybe get an apartment, or you get a temporary home, and then you have to adjust, and you have to adjust to playing with new people. Those plays that you keep calling, Brad, I couldn't remember one word that you said in that thing, and you're just able to, you're able to do that. Can you talk to us about that process and what it actually means behind the scenes?
It's really hard as far as moving. If it's a trade that takes place, you really don't have a choice where you go. If you're a free agent, you can choose where you want to go. But I remember when I left Minnesota, I'd been there for 7 years, and I got traded to the Washington Redskins. And when it happened, I was selling a house. I was building a house in Tallahassee. I was having to find a new place to live in Washington. I had to learn a new system. I went through a knee surgery, 2 knee surgeries. I had to learn all these new plays. I had to find out how to drive to work. When I walk in, like, where's my locker? Where's my locker at? You know, um, who are the guys on the team? They don't know me. I mean, there's 53 guys on the team. There's 12 or 13 coaches. There's all these secretaries. So the first thing I do is I grab a media guide. I got to learn these people's names. I got to learn who they are, where they came from. Like, I'm getting ready to step in a huddle. I didn't even know how to call a play in the huddle. I told you that earlier. Like, calling a play is tough until you practice it enough. But that's a lot. Moving houses, telling my wife we're moving from town to town. Where's she going to live? Who are her friends going to be? It was really interesting. But what you learn is adversity is coming. There's always change. There's always change, and embrace it and be ready to accept it. Like, this is a new challenge. Let me learn how to play in a new system. Let me learn how to read plays a different way. Let me guide another team to the playoffs. Let's enjoy where we're living. We're in Washington, D.C. Let's go sightseeing. Let's enjoy this instead of making it misery. From that standpoint, I loved it. I got to play when I first got traded. I went from system 7 years, went to go play for North Turner, loved it. But I went through change 3 or 4 times in my career, ended up having to learn 6 different systems and lived in a bunch of houses and condos and apartments. So my wife, thank goodness she was patient with me too.
So talk to us too about, I mean, your attitude is infectious. And where did this come from? Because I think it seems to me, and maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but every time that you tell a story, it comes from a gratitude sense, almost as if you understand and know, which you do, it seems, that what you get to do playing a child's game for a king's ransom, right? And,
Right.
But a lot of times people lose that. They lose that, and then they focus in, and they're so, they lose that bit of joy. Where did that come from? Was that something that your parents taught you and they raised you in, or was it something that you saw in coaches or friends or uncles, aunts, whatever it was? Where did it come from, Brad?
I think I love to play. I love the work. I loved the competition. I loved what I was doing. I had a guy early in my career. He said, "Brad, why do you play?" And I really couldn't give him the answer. I'd say, "Well, I want to win a Super Bowl." Well, he said, "What if you don't win?" He said, "Well, I want to start in the NFL." He said, "What if you don't win?" "Why do you love football?" What? I want to make money. Well, what if you don't get a job? What, you know what I mean? And so it took me a long time, to be honest with you, Kelly. So I call it my 2 seconds. So things that happened in the game, why I played the game. I loved calling a play in the huddle. Axe, double right spear, Larry, 735H pump, double K to zone 2. 2 seconds. I love having that command in the huddle. I love coming up the line of scrimmage. I love putting the ball in my hand and gripping it. Like, I love the feeling of that. It's a feel. I love it. I love dropping back and giving a play fake to my running back and looking the linebacker off and threading a dig route. It takes 2 seconds to do it. I love giving a high five. I love scoring touchdowns and hugging somebody that I probably didn't really know that well. But those are the moments, the 2 seconds, I call it, And so that's why I played the game. That was the enjoyment of it. And I still love to throw footballs and those kind of things. But I think my parents, the thing you learn is the only thing you can control is your attitude and your effort. That's all you can control. You can't control the surroundings. You can't control the play call. You can't control if a guy doesn't get blocked. How are you going to respond? So, so you got to have that in you. And I think my parents were that way. And the last thing I say about that is I think life's like a mirror sometimes. And if I can walk in front of that mirror and I'm strutting and I'm smiling, I think I look good, that mirror smiles back at me, And if I look at that mirror and I'm kind of frowning, I'm kind of like my hair's a mess, and that's what that mirror is going to give back to me. And I think it's interesting when you meet people, like if you shake hands and you smile, they will smile right back at you. If I don't stick out my hand, they may not stick out their hand. If I'm kind of down, I'm not contagious. Like, be contagious. Let me be the mirror in the room that impacts everybody. And those are the kind of things I try to do in my life, and try to bring a smile, bring laughter, bring entertainment, but bring attitude and effort and something that's contagious that can be good for our room.
So, Brad, I mean, you're a phenomenal human being. I want to say that, but let's talk too about the family aspect, right? Because I see it so prevalent, you know, in Big Brad now with trick shots and having fun, and I see your family, and there's, you know, all those things, which is amazing. Navigating a marriage is one thing. Navigating a marriage while you're a professional athlete is a completely other thing. Can you talk to us about what some of the components were? And I mean, obviously we need to give a shout out to your wife because, you know, I mean, I tell you, any wife that is in the realm of someone who performs at a high level, I tell you, we couldn't do it without you. So let's talk about that. And what are some of the components, you know, in a marriage, because most of the people out there that are listening right now are not going to win the Super Bowl. They're not going to play at the highest level. But, you know, we all want to be successful in our family and our marriage. What were some of those components?
Yeah. I'm thankful for my wife, Nikki. We've been married for 23 years. She played volleyball in college at South Florida so she was an athlete. She kind of understood. Her brother was a head coach coached me at Florida State. Was the head coach at Georgia and University of Miami, Mark Richt. So she understood sports, that kind of component. And so, you know, we were on the same alignment, same page with everything. And so having two kids, like it's it's work, you know. And there's the part where you work and you compete and you play, and then when that's over, then you have to compartmentalize it. Now I'm home I got to be dad, and I got to be husband, and so it's a great investment on both of our parts. And so in my career, honestly, the first 4 or 5 years, I remember. When we first got married, I said, I was telling my wife, Nikki, I said, there's three things that always kind of come up. It's, you know, you got family, like who's around you, like the rest of the family, you know, and then you got politics and you got religion. Those are, well, and she's like, what's wrong with my family? I said, nothing's wrong with your family, but we're just, it's going to be us, you know? And so honestly, the first 5 years of our kids, her mom lived with us where we lived in Minnesota and Washington and those kind of things, Tampa. And so, you know, I had to have that relationship with her too, you know. But the love that we give our kids is incredible. When our kids were young, when I come home from practice, it was my favorite thing. And I'd pick up my kids and I'd hold them upside down. I'd end up changing my shirt 5 times a day with all the throw up and stuff on me from the kids. But we made just a pact or whatever you want to call it. Like we talked with our kids, we played with our kids, we hugged our kids. I think wrestling with boys is key, you know, and just, or whatever that may be. And I would try to, honestly, when they were young, I would try to either pat on the back, say, I love you, touch, or be something positive. Almost was crazy, almost 100 times a day, whether they know it or not. And just, and those were things for us. But we love our kids. And obviously it's a family thing that we've been a part of to make our family tight.
So Brad, my favorite quarterback in the entire world is a guy named Maddox Cardenas. He's my son. He's 10 years old. And can you give him a little bit of advice? He plays for the Wildcats, and if you could give them a little shout out. But he plays for the Wildcats, and but what could you give him as far as, like, you know, a young quarterback, 10 years old, having a good time? What would be some of the things that he could focus on?
Maddox, I would tell him, I say a few things, okay? Just a few things. I'd say learn the fundamentals of the game. Learn the techniques. So when I throw a football, for instance, quarterback, I call it beef, balance, eyes, elbow follow through. I don't have anything for blocking, but learn the techniques or fundamentals of your position and play all positions. I would tell you to, I would tell you to be a great listener. Listen to the coaches. I also tell you be a great follower. Learn from the others. And then the most important part of it too is, as all this goes on and you improve and get better, I'd say use the word fun. And I spell it F-U-N, fun, capital letters. Have fun in the sport and learn and grow and just and get better every day. And every play, you're not competing for the Super Bowl that day, but just go play, be a great teammate, encourage someone besides yourself. And so that's kind of where I'd leave it.
So, Brad, why is Big Bad Brad so important to you? I mean, we were talking, and I asked about your hat. You said, no, that just covers my hair. And then you look down, you're like, oh, I got the Big Bad Brad hat. And now you're doing trick shots, you're having fun, things like that. Can you talk to this? Because I think a lot of times people lose the kid. They lose the kid, and then they wonder why the rest suffers.
Yeah. So this hat, honestly, this was given to me after the Super Bowl. It says Big Bad Brad. And then it had the Roman numerals. And that like that. So it's just given to, I hadn't worn it for 20 years. And so one day I started getting on TikTok and these trick shots. And so what I try to do with my trick shots is I try to make a sequence of maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 in a row. Okay. And so in that process, I played college basketball and I was good at that. I could throw a football. And so with it, I started having fun with it. And it became, can I make these shots? Sometimes everyone asks, how long does it take? And I always say it's either first time, first take, or it takes what it takes, or it's a lifetime of practice to do what I'm doing, And so, and when I do these videos, I send them out. My goals with it is to make people smile, make people laugh, entertain people, and hopefully they say, what's next? Okay. But when you see me celebrate and the shot goes in, I mean, it takes what it takes. I'm out there sweating, and then I pump in my fist, and when it goes in, it is true jubilation, okay? And some of those videos, I did a basketball one the other day. It took 7.5 hours, like 3 different days to accomplish this goal without editing. One of them took me 15 hours to accomplish. So life is not, and everyone gets caught up in like, it's got to happen the first time. But for me, so when you see me celebrate, I mean, I am pumped up, because I don't know if anybody else could do it, because I don't know if they want to be committed out there to miss that many shots. But when it goes in, it's a great feeling. It's almost like winning a game. It's like a 2-minute drive. You start feeling nervous on the last shot, whatever it may be. So I've had fun with it. And honestly, with the Big Bad Brad, we came up with a bunch of merchandise. And so the merchandise, it's honestly, it's cafepress.com/Big Bad Brad 14. And what it does, all the money goes to a charity called Beyond All Borders up in Asheville, North Carolina, and it just helps people so you can buy merchandise and do all that kind of stuff with it. But when I put on the hat and make these shots, it's like Superman putting on a cape before he does it. I can't make the shot without the hat. That's kind of where it's grown into.
So how is it with your kids? You have 2 sons, am I correct?
Right.
Okay, so you have 2 sons. Are they playing football?
They are. Max and Jake. Okay. They're both at Texas A&M. One's a quarterback and one's a tight end.
So I always say this, like if you were, Michael Jordan, right, has a son, Michael Jordan's son should not play basketball. And the reason why is because the expectation part of it, right?
Right.
How do you get your kids not to feel the pressure? Because, I mean, it's their dad is a Super Bowl champion, you know what I mean? Played at the highest level, won at the highest level, is in this elite company. I mean, are you able to give them advice as a quarterback, or do they just say, no, Dad, shut up?
Yeah, with Max, he's a quarterback, so I coached him pretty much out of the womb. Okay. Coached all his middle school, high school teams. Same thing with Jake. The difference with Max, he's a quarterback, so I could actually tell him what he's doing, and I was halfway right. And then Jake, he was a tight end, so I didn't know how to run routes or catch or block, those kind of things. But with them, we always said, listen, whatever you start, finish. Be a part of a team, and blaze your own path. And so there's no pressure from me. They're on their own path. They have their own choices. They work as hard as they want to work. I'll coach them or I won't coach them, those kind of things. But we have a great relationship. We're able to talk and communicate about all of it. But there's no pressure from me or our family. It's more of like, if it's something that you love to do, go do it and go be great at it. And then if you're going to do something, don't have regrets. So now as a parent, watching them playing in front of big stadiums and stuff, I can't tell them who to throw to or who to block, or I can't say, look out, you can't hear me. So they're on their own out there, and I'm just trying to eat popcorn and be a dad in the stands.
What do you think, whether positive or negative, about the NIL stuff that has happened with college athletes now? And I mean, do you see, is there positive and negatives, or is it all negative, or is it all positive? Where are you at with it?
It's something new to me. I go back to the Olympics growing up. Like it was all amateurs for the love of the game. And then it changed. It became paid Olympians, which they deservedly so for what they accomplish, and sponsorships and those kind of things. And also when NIL came out, I'm like, no way should kids get NIL money. They get a full scholarship and they get money on the side and from, just going to school. And then NILs, now you can make a lot of money and those kind of things. And that it's just the way of the world. And so with that, I just hope that there's not jealousy amongst players. You hope it's done along the right way. You hope the kids, they learn how to manage their money. You hopefully they learn how to pay taxes, those kind of things. So if a kid can make money nowadays, then I'm more power to it. But it's gone. The game has gone a little bit more corporate than I'm used to. Just the true love of the game of maybe what school I'm going to ask him what kind of NIL deals can I get. So totally foreign to me. But it's just times have changed and you got to go with it.
Brad, what's the funniest thing that happened during your NFL career? Because a lot of times people just think about, oh, no, I need Brad to be on this week and he needs to do this. But we don't realize as a fan watching that you're a human being, that you're playing with your buddies, you're having a good time. Can you let us in on some of the funniest experiences that you had during your NFL career?
One of the most eye-opening things to me when I was a rookie, we said I was a 9th-round pick, and I was a third-string quarterback, and I didn't get many reps. And so we had a game. Rich Gannon was a starter, and he got hurt. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm on deck. And then Sean Salisbury, he was the second-string quarterback. He gets dinged up. We had to call timeout to keep him in the game. And I was over there like I wasn't ready. I was praying. I'm like, come on, Sean, get up, get healthy, bro. And so Sean played. I didn't have to go in the game. So the next day in the meeting room, our coordinator, his name was Jack Burns, he's doing the film, flicking back and forth, and he's making a joke. He says, I got one quarterback dinged up that doesn't know where he's at, Rich Gannon, concussion. I got another one that's he can't get up off. He's got knocked out, hurt ribs or whatever. And then I got another one in me that's hyperventilating on the sidelines. And he was 100% right. I was not ready to play. And so sometimes you need a thing like that. And I remember there was a game up and we played in Buffalo, and Warren Moon was the starter. This is when I was backing up, and it was a cold, wet day. And you got Bruce Smith over there on the other side, Greg Talley. The whole list. Jim Plunkett. Jim Kelly's the quarterback for them, and so it was cold. And I remember I was on the sidelines. They got those burners and on the under the benches and those kind of things. And then Warren Moon, he's a Hall of Fame player, and he never got hurt. I never played. So I was over on the sidelines. I put my helmet next to the burner. And next thing I know, my helmet was on fire. It burned all the electrical outlets on. Warren Moon, he just got hurt, but it was during a timeout change. And I'm like, I can't even go in the game. It's my moment, but I can't go in the game. And then somehow during the quarter change, they got me a new helmet. Warren got healthy. And so I got reprieved a couple of times there. But a lot of funny things happen, and it's just human beings on the sidelines, and you just kind of go with it sometimes.
So you came into the NFL just as the Oilers were transferring over. Am I correct? Because they were the Tennessee Oilers your first season.
They were actually the Houston Oilers. Then they went to Tennessee. Yep.
So I've been and everyone out there that's been riding with me on the podcast, I am a irrational Oilers fan, irrational Titans fan. Can you give me, Brad, at least one story, Big Bad Brad story about either the Oilers or the Titans during your career that was amazing?
Well, it wasn't amazing for me. Okay.
So it's amazing for me, Brad.
It's amazing for you. It's amazing for you. If you play long enough as a quarterback, you'll have every good stat and you'll have every bad stat. So I'm getting ready to give you a bad one. But so I was playing for the Redskins on Monday Night Football, and we were 6-2 at the time. And it was at the end of the half. There was like 12 seconds to go. But it was a fourth down call, and we were about on a 40-yard line. So we were too far away to kick a field goal or whatever it was. And so I dropped back and I'm scrambling. I got to make a play. I got to throw it in there. And then because I said it's the end of the quarter or end of the half, and I throw it in there, and the guy named Andre Roll, who played at Florida State, was a corner. He intercepts it. I'm like, well, we'll tackle him. And I'm over here. My eyes go over here. Somebody knocks me out. And then he runs the length. It's like the longest yard. The horn goes off at the end of the half. He scores a touchdown. I'm exhausted chasing him, got beat up. And I'm like, So that was my Tennessee Titans on Monday night. It was not good for me, but we lost the game. It was a rough one.
Oh, I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I had a team that I got a chance to coach. It was a basketball team, and I asked them what their name wanted to be, and they were purple and yellow. And we live in California. And so I thought they were going to be, well, the Warriors were big at the time, and I thought either the Warriors or the obvious one was the Lakers. And these kids came together, they talked a little bit, and then they said, Coach, we got our name. It's the Chicken Nugget Makers. So we took the Chicken Nugget Makers and we played basketball, and we said, what I said to them, I said, we're going to focus on three things. We're going to focus on defense, passing, and rebounds. And all of them asked me, what about scoring, Coach? I said, scoring will take care of itself if you take care of those three things. What are some of the things that, whether it be in football, because I think the principles that you have as a quarterback and that you had, you know, at a high level as a quarterback, you use those in every aspect of your life. And if all the people listening and watching you, all your stories have come back to those fundamental kind of things. What are some of the things that most people pass up on because they're not the shiny things that if they focused on, they would see a larger result like you have throughout your life?
Yeah, and so in football terms, there was a book by P.D. Carril. He's a basketball coach at Princeton. He just passed away. And in the book, he says, practice on the things that happen in games. So a lot of times, and trying to make this in parallel to life, but a lot of times if I'm spinning a basketball, it's probably not going to happen in a game. So you need to practice shooting free throws. You need to practice rebounding. You need to practice making good passes, practice making a jump shot. Practice what happens in games, not full court half hook shots, bounce them in, those kind of things, you know. And so for me, my whole life, going back to a little bit of the trick shots too, like I was always about skills and drills and for the kill kind of thing, like what happens in games. And so now I'm just having fun with the trick shots and making them bounce in, and I can afford to do that at 53 years old. I can kind of do what I want to with those kind of things, but I think work on the meat of what happens in life, and what are the most important things. Make the most important things the most important things, and then all the other stuff is just it's dessert. It's the appetizers, and those don't really count. But make the meat for your family. It's the meat. It's your faith. It's your family. It's your family time that you have together. It's the communication. It's the relationships. It's the bond that you have. That's the meat of the family for us. And so that's kind of the way I played, was practice what happens in games. And for our family, let's make our family tight, close, and as we grow on in life, let's prepare these two boys to become men, and then eventually for us, Max and Jake, eventually, husbands and hopefully fathers and those kind of things. And they'll carry it on for generations to come too.
So Brad, as a person who has basically lived in the public's eye, you constantly had people shoving microphones in your face and they were asking you questions. And a lot of times you'll get the same exact question at the end of the game. Oh, what did you see as Victor? And you could script that, right? You could write it out, be like, well, we played together as a team. If we focus, or if they do a pregame one, they're asking you these questions. What do you wish that someone would ask you?
Yeah, well, during games, just so you know, like if something like that came, there's always the quote of when you win, say little, and when you lose, say less. So, because when you get into reasons and blaming and those kind of things, and so I think and I kind of answered it earlier with you a little bit, but the question would be like, what makes you tick? What makes you play? Why do you play? And I talked about the 2 seconds. And so I'd say the same thing, like, why does Tom Brady play? He's won 7 Super Bowls. He's 45 years old. Like, what is he trying to play? And he probably loves throwing a spiral. He probably loves calling the play in the huddle. He probably loves winning. He probably loves anticipation of, like, if we don't make this play, we're going to lose. Like, it's exciting when you win. And so that was probably the question of, I wish I would have, people would have got to know me. We didn't have social media back when I played. And so you didn't get to know who we really were at the time. And now you can get out who you are instead of just like a little article on the paper. Now you can be national news every time with Instagram or Twitter and those kind of things. But those were the kind of things I wish would kind of convey a little bit more of who we were. But I try to keep it personal too. Didn't try to bring my family too much in the spotlight when that was my job and that was my position to quarterback of a team.
What does your wife not hear enough from you?
You know what? My wife, we try to do a good job of communicating. Well, you know what? It's the first time for us now. We're empty nesters, to be real. You know, that's real. And so I can't blame the buying the cookies and, you know, for the kids now. They're on me now. They're on me. And so I think it's that part we'd both say is kind of like, let's redate all over again. Let's play cards. Let's play any kind of Connect Four. Let's communicate on. Let's have fun together. Let's go to movies again. Let's just spend time. Let's go for a walk. Where it used to be all about our kids. Now I think more of us now is just like, how can we reconnect even more? Where it's just more of us now as empty nesters, and not make it just, you know, all about our kids.
So, Brad, when you play at the level that you do, and you win at that level, you have to have this switch. And you know the switch that I'm talking about. It's that apex predator. It's that lion, that switch that says, like,
right,
we're going to get this thing. You know what I mean? That kill
right,
shot. You know what I'm talking about. How do you manage that? And how do you turn it on and off, or can you?
It's tough. It's tough because it's such an investment. So hopefully you're aligned with your wife on what is job, what is in season, what is the daily schedule, to what is the off season. And what it takes in the off season. But we were aligned in all those things. And my wife and I, we let each other go. We let each other pursue whatever we want to do. She wanted to become she actually paints furniture now for fun. She became a photographer. She was actually a physical therapist early when we first got married. But really, we kind of let each other do our own thing. But the switch as far as playing sports, I'm just thankful for her that she played sports and she understood what was going through, and the stress is real. So go ahead and acknowledge it. We did, and she was one that we could felt like she had great sense of what was taking place within our team, or my what I want to accomplish as an individual. But honestly, Kelly, I don't achieve what I did without her. Without her taking she would just take taking the kids or taking care of the families when people come visit us, or let me do my workouts or whatever it was. It doesn't happen without her. So it's definitely a 50-50 partnership and of all those kind of things. So thankful for her.
Brad, I had an experience. It was probably a year into my marriage. My wife and I, we got pregnant, and then we got pregnant, and then we got married in June. We had their baby in December. And then the following October, I had this great idea to open a business in a city where we didn't live, all the way across the country. This is a brilliant idea. Brilliant. So we got married in June. We had our child in December, and then let's see, in October we opened another business. And I remember working. And I remember opening up, it was just when banking went online. And I went online to check my bank account, and everything was zeroed out. Everything. Had no money. All my credit cards were all maxed out. I had, so Susie Orman, probably not going to sponsor the show. She had, we had zero. We had all the credit lines maxed out, all the credit cards maxed out, everything. And I'm sitting and I'm looking and I'm like, I'm working harder than I ever had in my entire life. And I'm like, how can this happen? And I'm so frustrated. And I remember that moment, and it was a turning point for me with my wife and in our relationship. She came up and she scratched me on my back and she said, everything's going to be okay. We're going to work through this thing. Do you have a moment like that, or moments with your wife? And if so, could you tell us about them?
Honestly, I can't really say there's the moment. I can say there were times. I remember I was a free agent and I was leaving Washington and where I wanted to go. And I remember she was behind it. I was going to go to Baltimore, and the more we went in depth about it, she's like, I think Tampa's the place for you because of what's happening with contract-wise, with what's the opportunity to be the first quarterback to have ever won it for Tampa, for what you want to accomplish. but but there's so many downtimes too. I mean, that you don't win every game. Every pass you throw is not a touchdown. There's some tough times, and the whole tough people last longer than tough times. Well, there's a lot of dark moments as an athlete also, and so, but she had to live it with me, and without her by my side, without her, partnership with our kids, it doesn't happen. I'm not who I am without her. I really feel that, and so thankful for who she is. Thankful for the impact she's made on the family, but thankful for, I can't imagine being with someone else, so it's just very thankful for her.
How was that transition out of the NFL and into civilian life? And are you able to, because I mean, number one, you're 6'5", you're 6'6"?
6'5".
Okay.
6'5".
At 6'5", you stick out anyway.
Right.
But also there's probably not a person in your town that doesn't know who Brad Johnson is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so how was that transition, the positive and the negative, coming out of, this being in the spotlight, being in the NFL, everything like that, and then coming back into civilian life?
It was tough. Okay. So when I first got out, when I was done, I was like, well, what am I working out for? Like, I got no place to go. I can't go to work. I don't have all these. I'm not going to the field to train to throw balls. I'm not going to the weight room to go get ready for a season. I'm doing it for my health. Well, I got no place. Where's my group at? And I had no play. I had no guys to call the play in the huddle. You know what I mean? Where did I go? Like, I used to have responsibility. I used to get free tickets to go in the stadium. Now I'm like on StubHub buying tickets. Like, what happened? And it goes calm. It goes dry. It goes blank. It goes dark. And so for me, fortunately, I got really involved. We live in Athens, Georgia. Got really involved with a school called Prince Avenue, and started coaching youth sports. Started coaching middle school sports. Started coaching high school sport. I just got involved, and so then, honestly, I was able to start sharing my stories, show my impact, to give to others. To, whether it's a kid trying to teach them how to throw a pass to become maybe a starter, or give them a story. Maybe a kid had a rough time, and I can give them a story of my past. But I was able to share. So. Honestly, yeah, it was tough. For the first month, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I got no place to go. And that was my blessing that was given to me to impact others. I was not a guy that wanted to go on and be a coach. I didn't want to go get fired and move from team to team. I didn't want to go be an announcer and be away from my family. I wanted to be with my family. I got that. I got to go coach was always a dream come true. And so the transition is real. Mm-hmm. It's real. And, but my wife and I, we made it work, and it's pretty cool.
So, Brad, what have you never told anybody?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. You caught me off guard on that one. I don't know. I felt pretty open, so I have to think about that one. So I don't know. I'll think about that one.
Okay. What would you say as far as, like, if you were, it's a question that we think about all the time. If you were able to, go back and talk to 10-year-old Brad, like, what would you say, knowing what you know now?
The one thing, let me show you this picture, okay?
Yes, sir.
Let me show you this picture.
Bring it right up by your face so everyone can see it. Okay. Move it over to the, yes, I see it. Yes.
Got it?
Yep.
Is it pretty clear? You see both of us?
Yes. Over towards your face just a little bit. Over, other way. Right. This way. Yeah, right there, and then up.
There
just right there.
All right,
yes.
See that picture right there?
Got it.
I'll just hold it up. All right, there's the picture. So that was in the Super Bowl. And when it happened, we hugged, and you saw the big smile. You saw the smile. And I wish I would have smiled more. As a kid. I was in it for the skills and drills and kills, like I told you earlier. I wish I would have said, somebody said, who's your favorite player? I said, Chris Carter, named CC, greatest hands ever. My buddy Chris Walsh, White Lightning, had nicknames for him. I wish I would have smiled more. I wish I'd enjoyed the moment more, embraced the moments more. I was always about making moments, but then almost like, what's the next moment? Like trying to move on to the next one. Let me enjoy this moment right here, right now. And I think that's the biggest thing is if I'm telling kid now, enjoy the moments, make the memories, and then we'll move on from there. But smile, bring laughters. And that's what it was. That's what I tell Brad at 10 years old.
So I told the crew, the moms and dads that are coaches or that are part of the Wildcats, and the coaches, which is Coach Adrian and Coach Rich. I'm very big. I don't know how you are. You're from the South, so I think you are. I'm very big on kids calling me either Coach Kelly, Coach C, Mr. Kelly, Mr. C, but there is no Kelly, and there is no first name basis with any kid. Just the way I was raised. Do you feel that way?
A little bit.
Or do kids call you Brad?
It kind of goes both ways here a little bit, okay? So in the pros, when I was in college, I played for Bobby Bowden. It was Coach Bowden. Everything is by last name. Coach Bowden.
Got it.
Coach Richt. Total respect. In high school, I think it should be by the last names.
Okay.
Coach Nolan, Coach Johnson, whatever it may be. In the pros, everything's by first name basis.
Okay.
So if I say Coach Johnson, he'd say Player Brad. Okay. So he'd say Coach, he could Player Brad. So everything's on first name basis. So, but I made an emphasis. I 100%. And I think whatever you say, that's the way it should be. For me and who Brad is, I had every kid call me Coach Brad. It wasn't Brad, it was Coach Brad. And so I've had all these kids since third grade, and now they've gone off to college. They still call me Coach Brad. It's always by coach, not by first name, like in the pros. But I think that's the respect it should be. If you go by your last name, it should be by the last name. Whatever the coach says is the way it should be. But I was emphatic about making that known to the kids. It's always about respect, but I was Coach Brad. So but it's always by coach.
Can you give a little shout out to Coach Adrian and Coach Rich and the Wildcats?
Coach Adrian, Coach Rich, the Wildcats. I know you're off to a great season. You're gonna get it done. You're gonna compete. You're gonna have fun, and you're gonna make memories.
Hey, Brad, who was the toughest coach that you ever played for?
Probably my high school coach. Played for two really tough ones. And my football coach was Kenny Ford. My basketball coach was Bill Burrows. They were excellent coaches. And Coach Bill Burrows, he ran practices like a college practice, and we could still run the plays today if we lined up in the gym. And I taught those same things as a coach, and thankful for the toughness, but thankful for the toughness, but the respect that we had for each. He taught love, he taught compete, he taught team, all those things. But Kenny Ford, I got to be thankful for him. My senior year of high school, I was actually getting ready to quit, and I was going to play just basketball. I wanted to go basketball, but so the first 3 days of football practice, I actually missed. And he was a new coach, and he said, Brad, you need to come out in football. You have a lot of potential. It'll be the most fun time of your life. And we'd lost a bunch of games. My record in high school was 4-6, 5-5, and 6-5 in the playoffs. So it wasn't fun. Then my senior year, he taught me into playing. We went 10-3. It's the most fun I ever had. And then I went on to get a scholarship, and then the rest was history. But so I'm thankful for coaches, for the way they coach, the way they teach, and then whether it's tough or whether it's fun or however it is. You got to be thankful for those guys that commit to kids.
So when you're with your career, when you look back at that, and as you move forward, what is the thing that was probably the hardest lesson that you ever learned that at the time was like, man, I hated this, but now you look back at it as like, that is such an amazing part of my foundation?
Not getting to play. I was benched in college. Didn't think I deserved it, but it happened. And the guy that they replaced me with was my best friend, Casey Weldon. He ended up being the runner-up to the Heisman. We were number one in the nation at the time. He's living my dream, and best friends, but I still had to support him. And then the greatness of it too with the coaches was I respected their decision for what they said, the reasons why, and I respected them as human beings. And Coach Bowden was one of the all-time legends of college football, and Coach Rick, he later became my brother-in-law. He benched me, now we're brother-in-law. So
do you still give him a hard time?
Interesting.
Do you still give him a hard time about it?
We laugh about it, but what there was respect, you know.
Yeah.
And then Casey actually ended up being my backup at Washington.
Wow.
So it's funny how things go. But I remember the thing I appreciated was there's only one spot to play as a quarterback, and it was a tough time. But I embraced adversity. I embraced like I'm not ever going to let this happen again. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to keep that position, keep that job. So, but I tell you, embrace adversity. But that was a tough time in my life, and I got to be honest with you. So when that happened, when I got benched in college, let me show you something. So in my room, I'll show you real quick here. Okay,
yes,
so
please show
tear it
me.
up. So this is I'm in my ping pong room. So you can see a bunch of Larry Bird posters down
Yes.
there. And I'm gonna take you to the other end. These are life size. Can you see? Can you see down there?
Yes.
Okay, you see two life size posters in there. So Larry Bird was my hero growing up as a kid. Okay. And so when I got benched in college, I got this friend named T.R. Robinson. And so he just he meets people. I don't know how he does it. Okay. He met Larry Bird. And so I got this about a week or two after I got benched. I got this letter in the mail. Here it is right here. So I hold it up so you can see it. I had it framed. So I'll kind of hold it like that. Okay. So I'm going to read you this letter real quick. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this letter says, Brad, just got off I'm going to put so you read Larry Bird so you can see it back here a little bit. So you kind of bring a little levity to it. Okay. So then we'll do it like that. I'll read it to you right here.
Okay.
Good to show and tell?
Yes.
All right. It says, Brad, just got off the phone with TR. He had a little bit about life. He told me a little bit about life at Noland. I thought I'd relate this story to you. Remember when I kept hurting my foot, all the skeptics came out, but I kept on believing. Then I came back and they said I was slower, wider, and uglier, but I kept on believing. It would have been easy to have called it a career, but looking back on it, I'm glad I kept on believing. So Brad, a little advice. There are a lot of people who believe in you. So keep your head up, keep busting your tail, and always remember to keep on believing. Larry Bird. And so, I got a letter from my hero, And so at a time in my life when I'm ready to quit college football, like where's my career going? I got nothing left. So I think it's important that no matter who you are, what gets lost now is we'll send each other a quick little text or something like that. But now the ability to write a letter or just an encouraging note to someone, it can impact someone's life, change their life, and keep moving forward. And for him, it's keep on believing. I thought my career was over. I kept on believing. And so those moments that you go through tough times, like something better's coming. Something better coming. So just work and keep on believing for your goals and set goals and have a passion about it. And then everything will take place after that. So I would encourage people to take a little time, write somebody a little note, just encourage someone.
Well, Brad, you're the Larry Bird right now. You know what I mean? And you're the Larry Bird for so many people out there listening and so many people out there watching you in your life. I started the podcast because of my kids, Maddox and McKenna. Maddox is 10. Like I told you, he's just about to turn 11. My daughter's 13 years old. Her name is McKenna. The reason why I started the podcast because I want to take iconic people like yourself. And I wanted to show my kids that anything was possible as long as you had the right attitude and the right work ethic. So what advice would you have for Maddox and McKenna? And if you could use both of their names, it would be amazing.
Yeah, I'd say Maddox and McKenna. I'd say smile. I'd say listen to your parents. Ask questions. Be yourself. Yourself is good enough. Be where you are. Enjoy the gift what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. Encourage someone besides yourself, but just enjoy the moments. Enjoy if you're at the beach, like we're at the beach. Let's have fun now. Like let's don't go to the beach and like wish we were somewhere else in the mountains. Like let's enjoy our time now. Be where your feet are. And for me, sometimes I can get on my phone and no. When we're gonna be together, let's enjoy moments. Let's put the phones up. Let the time be the time. If it's at the beach, let's be at the beach. If it's at the dinner table, let's be at the dinner table. If it's playtime, go play. But McKenna and Maddox, enjoy, go make memories, have fun, and make great moments.
Brad, you have been phenomenal today. I mean, it's amazing because every single thing every story that you told had a common thread, and that common thread was integrity. It was doing the right things. I mean, and it's amazing because it's very seldom that you find people that have that much consistency in what they do and who they are. And I want to thank you for that. I told you before that I was going to force you to be my friend for the rest of your life. So
No doubt.
You are stuck with me, man. I would love to have you back on the show. So I'm going to ask you in front of everyone. So you have to say yes. Just like my kids asked me to. Then my son pulled me aside after the game last night. After the Wildcats, they lost by 2 points, but they had so much fun. And my son comes up to me in front of all the other parents, is like, "Can I have a sleepover with Hugo?" I was like, "Well, of course you can, because I mean, I'm not going to be that dad." So I want to have you on the show again, but I tell you,
I'd love to.
With what you're doing, and when you talked about the merch, the Big Bad Brad that is going all to charity, we're going to have a link for that. All of you listening, we're going to have a link for that in the bio, so you can click that. You can do that. Brad, you have been absolutely phenomenal. I want to thank you. Everyone out there listening to, thank you so much for helping us to become in the top 1% globally as far as all podcasts. And I want to thank you, every single person, for listening. Check out the sponsors. Do the things that you need to do. But Brad, I am blown away, and I am honored to have you on the show, man. And you are officially off the hot seat.
Yep. All right, man. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the friendship that we started. And it's going to be looking forward to see where we go. But I'd love to be on your show again, or wherever it may be. Come speak at your group. So I thank you.
You got it, buddy.